You are listening to This is Oklahoma, hosted by Mike Hearn, telling stories of Oklahomans and those that have made it their home.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of This is Oklahoma podcast. Mike Hearn here, your host, back with another episode. Excited to share this episode with you today, but before we do, I've got to thank our sponsors. First of all, the Oklahoma Hall of Fame. They've been a huge part of this podcast for the last few years. So the Oklahoma Hall of Fame have been sharing Oklahoma's story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com. And for daily updates, go to oklahomahof on Instagram and give them a follow. Our other sponsor today is Chickasaw Nation. Now, the Chickasaw Nation have sponsored pretty much everything in Oklahoma. They're a huge supporter of Oklahoma, and it's an honor to have their name and their brand supporting this podcast. So a huge shout out to Governor Anatoby for supporting this podcast. It really means a lot. Our third sponsor is Diffie Ford Lincoln down in El Reno. Now, this one makes me so happy because these guys are great friends of mine, play a lot of golf together. I've bought my cars from them, do most of my oil changes down there, have a cup of coffee, hang out down in El Reno. It's a good spot to go. And not only are they great friends, but they provide a great service. So for over 60 years, third generation family owned Oklahoma business down in El Reno. They're also in Bethany as well. So people in the Bethany area know the Diffies really well. But if you're looking for anything new, used, Ford, Lincoln, or whatever, I'm sure they could find anything you want. Check them out, diffieford.net, and then on Instagram at diffiefordlincoln. This episode is brought to you by the Doghouse OKC. Recently, I have been in need of some doggy daycare for my two pups, and the Doghouse have come in clutch. The team over there are incredible. They've taken care of my two golden doodles, and so it's been an honor to partner with them on the podcast and share the love. And the one thing that I do with the sponsors that I have is stuff that I use and recommend, like the Diffies with my car, Hall of Fame. They're awesome. Citizens Bank's where I bank. Chickasaw Nation, huge supporter of Oklahoma. And adding to that is the Doghouse. And so if you're in need of doggy daycare in the day or boarding overnight, they do grooming and other cool things too. But I've had a fantastic experience, and it's an honor and a privilege to share this with you too. So go to thedogHouseOKC.com and follow them on Instagram at thedogHouseOKC. And hopefully our pups will run into each other. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of This is Oklahoma. Mike Hearn here, host, back with another episode down at Galladia today. Golf-related podcast for you. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our guest, Mr. Max McGreevy. Max, thanks for coming down, mate.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
It's we won't nerd out too much about golf, but we will talk about golf in this podcast because that's there's been a lot of my life, and clearly there's a lot of a lot of your life and your career up to now. But before we do, you've had some recent success, right? We had the TaylorMade Invitational recently, and then before that was in Asia?
Japan.
Where was Japan?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Which you went to Asia in your career before getting the Corn Ferry Tour, so we'll touch on that. But, I mean, it's been a roller coaster ride probably the last few years, up and down, but, got a couple of wins this year. Well, 4 now probably, right? 2 on the Corn Ferry Tour, is that right? Mm-hmm. And then this, so congrats on the recent success.
Thank you.
Awesome. A lot of things going on, but yeah, I mean, tell me about success in Asia, and then the TaylorMade Invitational as well. Yeah,
so Japan was kind of a last second deal. I ended up it's called the Dunlap Phoenix. Dunlap owns Srixon. So I'm a Srixon guy. They usually like to have some of us over there. So just kind of worked out pretty well. Corn Ferry ends earlier than it usually does, and just had really nothing going on, and had to get the approval from the wife to go over to Japan, as she's pretty pregnant right now. But no, it worked out really well. Just a fun atmosphere. Japanese golf, I mean, the people love it over there, and just cool to be in that atmosphere. Cool to see how they interact with players, and just how appreciative they are of us even just coming over and playing. So that was just kind of a bonus, honestly, and to go out and play as well as I did and win was nice as well. But yeah, then I just kind of bled into the following week. I played TaylorMade Pebble Beach, which is honestly more just supposed to be a fun event. You're going to nice dinners, you're kind of hanging out with good people. If good golf kind of follows, then that's great too. And fortunately it did. And yeah, I played some really good golf again. And winning at Pebble Beach is would definitely want to win one of the bigger ones that's out there, but it's always nice to get a win at Pebble Beach for sure.
Did you play there in college? Once a year, right?
Yeah,
First
yeah. So we started that my sophomore year. So 3 times in college, and then I think that was my 3rd or 4th time playing that event. So.
Such an epic place,
Yeah.
right?
It's incredible.
Just like, is this real life? Are we playing golf here?
Definitely.
It's a great walk. Yeah, what a place. So you got a pretty epic family history in golf, right? Dad's a golfer, won the state am, went to KU. You haven't won the state am, but you won the Oklahoma Open, right?
Yeah, won the
Okay,
Oklahoma
so he
Open.
has that over you, but you have that over him.
Yeah.
So I assume, like most, Dad's good at golf. You just have a golf club in your hand from day one.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we were just a sports-oriented family in general, but we were members for as long as I can remember, we were always members at a club. So I grew up at Twin Hills for a while until I was probably 9 or 10, and then we moved over to the Greens Country Club, and he's still a member out there. I go out there quite a bit. They're very nice to me still, but yeah, I think it was more just a family-oriented thing. My brother played. He's 7 years older than me, so grew up wanting to beat him out at the golf course too and stuff. So it was just a fun dynamic for all of us to get out there and play. But yeah, I think all of us have kind of had a club in our hands from an early age.
Was it always just the dream? Growing up, was it just golf, or were you thinking, I'll play sport, I'll do this, or was it mostly, I want to be playing golf?
No, I would say up until I was like 9 or 10, I wanted to just play everything. I wanted to play any sport possible, and because I was playing other sports, we would really only go to the golf course on the weekends type of thing, just because we had other stuff going on. So once we got closer to the high school level, I knew I was pretty good. The talking to coaches, college coaches, kind of needed to start, and played basketball my freshman year of high school. I was probably 5'2", and I wasn't a bad basketball player. I was just way too small. So I enjoyed that 1 year in high school and getting beat up a little bit probably from that. But yeah, I don't think team sports turned me away of it's not like I had any teams that just made me not like team sports. The aspect of having everything solely on yourself and just all the work that you put in and everything had to be on your own. I think that just led me down the golf path, and I knew that I was probably best at that as well. But it just kind of, the individualistic side of it just pushed me even further down. Just loving golf for sure.
What were Twin Hills and the greens, other than the grass, sort of similar. I prefer Twin. If they cut the grass, I think everyone probably says that who plays golf at a decent standard, wishes that we had tight greens and rolling fast fairways, right?
For sure.
But yeah, what 2 great golf courses to grow up compared to out here at Gladio, right? You can hit it anywhere at Gladio, you can hit it anywhere at most of the public courses out here, but Twin Hills and the greens, you have to thread it.
Right.
So is that kind of, do you kind of attribute a lot of your kind of accuracy to growing up that way, or not?
Definitely. I don't remember Twin quite as much, just being that young, but growing up at the greens, there's out of bounds left on every single hole, all 18 holes, which is so crazy to even think about. And I would say it's still my kryptonite. I go out there and I've played it thousands of times, and I think I'm going to shoot 62 every single time I go out there. I'm lucky to shoot 2 or 3 under, it seems like, out there. So it's kind of always had my number. So that's why I kind of continue to like going back there, just thinking that I'm going to be able to figure it out one of these times. And maybe that was the fun of it too, just never really being able to figure it out perfectly. But yeah, I would say I'm a pretty straight driver of the golf ball, and Twin and the greens are probably a testament to just the start of that for me.
Have you been out of the greens this year?
Yeah, it's probably been
since they've redone the greens.
Yeah. It's probably been a couple of months, but 2 months or so. I like to get out there and still play with some of the old guys I played with and whatnot. So
it's rapid out there.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I played maybe a state qualifier. It might have been a U.S. Mid-Am qualifier or something was out there.
Yeah, Mid-Am qualifier was out there. Yeah,
and I was just like, this is. I'm not a huge fan of Bermuda grass anyway. But then you get them rolling and they're shiny, and you're putting downhill on what is that, 6, 7, 8?
Yeah, like my dad being a good player. I was always taught to play to pin high type of thing. That was the thing to play to. At the greens, if you're playing to pin high, you're going to be the putts are going to be breaking 3 and 4 feet every single time. So, but no, it's a good challenge for sure. So, it's always nice to get something different.
So high school, you kind of figure out that you're pretty good. You're starting to get some kind of communication from schools. You won your that year, your senior year, right?
Yeah, my junior and
state?
senior year, won state.
Yeah.
And so I had actually committed to Oklahoma right before state, basically, my junior year. So, which was fun. I mean, I committed to OU, and then we had state at Karsten Creek. So that was not a jab at them or anything, but it was fun to kind of win on their soil type of thing, knowing that I was going to the rival. But no, high school was great. I wouldn't say our team was great. You know, I mean, obviously Edmond North was the powerhouse and will be for probably a long time, but. Just had a good group of guys and a lot of good friends on there, and we kind of all just got a little bit better and pushed each other, and yeah, it was good.
Do you remember much about that final round or the final rounds of winning state twice?
I can't remember if it was my junior or senior year. I was in a playoff with Nick Heinen, so we went to the 18th hole at Karsten, and he missed like a 12-footer or so for birdie, and I got up and down, made like a 3 or 4-footer to win. And then the first one definitely came down to Taylor Moore was a senior. I was a junior, and he was the two-time. He had won the 2 previous ones, so definitely wanted to take him down before he kind of got out and went to college. But definitely remember going up against Taylor and just. We just had it's kind of funny, Oklahoma golf, we have some really premier players type of thing. I mean, unfortunately, I think it tailors off after that. We have some really, really good players, and maybe the middle part of it isn't quite as stout as a Texas or other states, but we have some premier players, and it's funny to look back on it now. I mean, Taylor and I talk about it now as we see each other time and time again. So just funny how it kind of comes full circle, and now we're up to the next ranks, essentially. Yeah,
that's awesome to have those memories, right? Because you're right, like bigger states like Texas and bigger golf states, Florida, Georgia, whatever it is, like you have that memories, right, of playing against the same kids growing up, and it is fun, because we've all got friends that we grew up with, and you're like, this guy was the best player, right, when you're 12, and you think that they're going to make it, and now they're working in 9 to 5, whatever it is, like the level that you're at is very hard to get to. But you all wish that your mates can make it. It's really cool if you have those experiences. On tour with Taylor, and I'm sure you see Nickel. When you go back out at National, you're still playing against him. But it's really cool to have that. What was the decision then for you to go to OU? So Dad went to KU. Obviously, KU's golf team isn't as good as OU's golf team. But Louis told me you're a huge KU fans. So, the family is huge KU fans. Tell me through the process of going to OU, why you chose OU.
Yeah, so I wouldn't say I was the highest recruited. I didn't play a ton of like national events. I played really well in Oklahoma, and I won a lot of stuff in Oklahoma, but I wouldn't say I ventured out a ton to play, and wouldn't say I had a ton of schools look at me. I took a visit to Kansas. I obviously loved Kansas growing up, my dad being there. It's a little bit colder up there, 5 hours north or so, and unfortunately their coach was kind of in the process of getting fired, so it just wasn't really the right fit at the time. Took my visit to Oklahoma State. Coach McGraw was the coach at the time. If he would have offered me right then and there, I mean, I would have taken it. No questions about it. And again, I wasn't super highly recruited, and he didn't really have much to offer me, and it is what it worked out like it needed to. But meeting Coach Hibble the first time, the University of Oklahoma wasn't even on my radar, I would say, and meeting Coach Hibble for the first time was the turning point to what I actually feel like I needed in college, rather than just the namesake of the university or the namesake of the players that have gone through there. Sitting down and actually sitting with Coach Hibble, I was like, this guy's going to get me to the potential that I think I can get to and get the most out of me. So
and people outside of our golf world generally don't understand how much of a legend McGraw is, right? From Oklahoma, now at Baylor, written, the coaching Bible, the book that he's written, every coach should use that, regardless if you're a golf coach or not. And then obviously Edmond North and everything they did there, and going to Oklahoma State. And like you mentioned, the catalog of players at Oklahoma State generally outweighs the catalog of players at OU. But obviously when you sit down with Hibble, it's a little different conversation.
Yeah.
What were the things that stood out to you that Hibble was telling you that really kind of, made sense to you on this guy's going to not only have a facility and, give me an offer to go to school, but give me the legit shot of making it in this career?
Like, I would say he just wasn't sitting there telling me how amazing I was at everything, which is probably great to hear as a 15 or 16-year-old kid. I mean, you want to know, like, how hard you've worked and how good you've gotten, but he's pointing out the things that he's watched me play that he already knows he can help me with, that can make me better. And I wouldn't say I'm a perfectionist, but I like criticism. I love criticism. And, everyone doesn't. And, some people, even probably players that he's had on his team, Hibble's probably been maybe a little bit too tough on him, saying things that he needs to work on. But at least for me, those are things that pushed me to get better. And when I heard that from him, I just knew he was going to do everything in his power to make those, not those promises per se, but what he was talking about that he thought he could help me with. I knew he was going to do everything he could to do that. And I think from a parent's perspective, my parents sitting there listening to him say that, they wanted to hear that as well, type of thing. So, once golf was my sole concern, starting, my sophomore or junior year of high school, I wanted to play professional golf. And, Hibble was going to be the one that could push me to my best, to be the best when I started my professional career, essentially. So I loved everything that he had to say, and kind of became a second father figure, in a sense, for me, just as far as that goes.
Yeah.
So.
Where does the fact that you just said, like, you like criticism, that's rare, especially in today's world. No one likes getting told what they're doing wrong, right?
Yeah.
But, one of the other things that Luis told me too is that you're extremely competitive. So you breed extreme competition with, this just drive to get better and love criticism. Where does that come from growing up?
I don't know. Potentially my dad being my coach kind of my whole career growing up. And it's not like my dad criticized me all the time on my golf game or different things, but it's a tough dynamic. I mean, a father-son coaching duo is a difficult dynamic. Luckily, I was the second kid, unfortunately, and my brother probably got the brunt of it. My brother was a good player as well, and my dad was trying to make him into a good player. And my dad maybe learned from his mistakes a little bit on the second kid, and but I just loved getting better. I loved any aspect of life. Sports especially. So when I heard anything, it depended who it came from. You have to take it with a grain of salt every once in a while. But if it's coming from my dad, if it's coming from my college golf coach type of thing, I knew that it was genuine. They meant it. And I think just from the start as a kid or as an early teenager type of thing, I heard some of those things and I was like, if I want to be a professional athlete, I better get on the ball soon rather than later. You know what I mean? And I was still a hard-headed kid. Everyone is going to be at an early age, but no, I'm happy that I took the initiative to listen to that stuff, to take the steps needed as far as that goes. So
you close out your high school career pretty well, winning state, and then you're off down to Norman. Take me that time in your life. Are you nervous? Who's on the team? Who are you looking up to? Yeah, what's Jimmy like? You obviously Tyler's down there at the time, and
So moved in with my roommate Emilio Mallory. He ended up not staying the entire time. Spoke good English, but I remember having to do all his English papers and stuff. And, funny. Those are the funny memories you think about in college. But no, I probably maybe showed up on campus a little cockier than I probably should have. I'm probably 130 pounds, and this freshman kid that these seniors are probably like, why is this kid acting like this? But I think that's a reason why Coach Hibble liked me on the team. I was a little fiery. I was ready to go always. And lucky for me, the team was good, but they weren't to the level that they're at now. And unfortunately for a senior at the time, Eduardo Castillo, I kind of pushed him out of the top five and played most of the year, the whole year, my freshman year, which, getting that experience of just playing is incredible. Like the talent in college golf is insane. You'll be playing against colleges that you've definitely heard of before, but then there'll be kids on the team that are just great players. And just getting the experience of playing a lot is obviously what anyone wants. But for me as a freshman, a small freshman, cocky kid, it kind of sat me down a little bit too. I played good, but not great. And I think it, again, made me realize what I needed to work on. I needed to get better, those type of things. And was lucky that Hibble trusted me enough to let me play the entire year, and played conference, Big 12s and regionals and nationals, and trust me in that atmosphere, because it just led me to have more confidence and more trust in my game the more years that I played for them and stuff. So
what did you learn the most that freshman year?
I think I tell this to kids going to college now too, and some of the kids that are on the team there now. It doesn't take as low or as good as it needs to be to have a successful week, a successful month, a successful year. As I can't remember, all the names that I was playing against, but the Spieths and the Thomases, they're playing when I'm a freshman type of thing. And, I think you got to go out and shoot 5 or 6 under par every single round. It's like, if you shoot even par or just under, you're going to be second team All-American, type of thing. So I think from an early start, I just realized I didn't need to push myself so much to be this amazing golfer. I wanted to work my steps into becoming great. I wasn't a flashy player from the start. I knew it was going to take time for me to get to where I wanted to be, essentially. So I hated not being, like the best freshman in the country or something like that. But unfortunately, that was just my DNA. And I think I learned that my DNA was just progressively getting better. And so that was what I took from my freshman year, was that, each month I felt like I got a little bit better and better. And I was just hopefully going to lead that into, the future of my golf game.
Yeah.
So
who was the best freshman of your freshman year class?
Wyndham Clark won Big 12
Yeah.
freshman of the year. Trying to think who else. Maybe Bo Hostler would have probably been like of the whole country type of thing.
Yeah.
So a couple of those guys.
What years were you in college for?
2013, fall of 2013 to 17.
Yeah. Yeah, when you look at that 4 years and the level of talent that's come out of those 4 years, it's all over the world. Right? Like, it's, you go down those All-American lists, or just like, look at your old college leaderboard and you're like, oh, this kid's on tour, this kid's on tour.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
It's awesome, right? And you're right, to have that experience as a freshman, going into your sophomore year, your junior year, you're like, well, I belong out here now.
Yeah,
now I actually know the golf course. I'm not worried about that stuff.
To be honest, even now, like, I played 4 years with a lot of these guys in college. Even if they're PGA Tour winners or major winners or anything like that, it just gives me a couple more years of like experience against those guys, and just realizing that the level isn't like astronomically different. So I even probably can thank coach to this day that I was able to get that much experience just early on type of thing. So
what was one of the things that stood out to you when you got on campus as a OU athlete that you're like, wow, I get this as an athlete? Like, we all love swag, we all love the perks. Anything stand out to you that like brings back a memory?
I just think in general, like as a 16-year-old thinking of like committing to a university, I don't think about how big a university is with so many perks that they have. Like, I was potentially thinking about going to a Wichita State or something like that. The difference between going to a Wichita State and going to an Oklahoma, like just the amount of, the swag that you get, but the amenities and the, extracurricular stuff that they just have, it's off the charts. And all they're trying to do is to help their athletes be as good as they possibly can be, and just investing so many dollars into that type of stuff. So my freshman year was the first year of Headington Hall, the dormitory at OU. So me and my freshman roommate Emilio, we're probably in a 1,500, 1,700 square foot, dorm with a full sectional, a full refrigerator, just everything in it. And I'm like, I've been living at my parents' house this entire time, and now it feels like we're like in the penthouse almost. So It's just, I don't think I thought of those things until I got there, and I'm very thankful that this ended up working out at Oklahoma, just for everything that comes with it. football games. Grew up a Kansas fan. Hated football just because we were so bad at football. So then I get on campus at OU and these people just live and die for OU football, which is just it was kind of crazy for me to see. But student athletes, we had our own section that was like none of the other students could go into it. So I mean, we could just roll up 5 minutes before the game, and it could be some big game, and we're getting almost front row seats every single time, while the other students are sitting there waiting in the stands for 2 hours, just waiting for something to happen. So those little things like that are just they made my experience at Oklahoma amazing for sure.
Any great football game memories that you remember being at and having a great time at?
There was a bedlam one year where we had the Oklahoma State guys come over. I remember Hovland and Hayden, Nick.
Austin probably.
Austin, yeah. And just, I think there was 10 or 12 of us all together, and they were staying at our place, but we were all going to the game together, and obviously we wanted bragging rights on the other. And it ended up I think it went into overtime, and we ended up beating them in overtime, and it was just such a cool experience like that. None of us were like diehard OU fans before, so it's not like we're talking too much trash to the OSU guys or anything like that. It was a fun experience type of thing, and to have it like that.
Yeah, good memories. And a lot of the guys you see at National now or on tour now, right?
Yeah,
that's really cool to have.
For
sure. What year did OU win Nationals?
2017.
Okay.
My senior year.
Your senior year.
Yeah.
Okay. So between, first, let's fill the gap in a little bit then. What was your first team win as a student?
My first event.
Was it really?
We won.
Welcome to the show.
We won in Iowa.
Nice.
Burlingame, Iowa. I don't even remember what the tournament was
Iowa
called.
State's tournament?
It was this weird tournament where it was a team from each conference.
Interesting.
So we were the only team from the Big 12 or something like that.
Yeah.
It was like the Golf Week preview, I think is what it was called, or something like that. So first event, I finished fourth. I was the highest on the team.
Yeah.
And then we went to Ohio State, the second event, which was, I still weighed 130 pounds and hit it probably 240 yards, and the Scarlet course is brutal. And played really good. I remember playing with Wyndham Clark.
Yeah.
And we were both freshmen, and he was hitting it 60 by me. And I played really good that week. I finished top 10 or something. We played good as a team, but I would say we didn't have very many wins individually. But we won a lot as a team. And I think I just kind of thought that was how it works in college golf. And when I talk to my friends and stuff now, it doesn't. Winning as a team is definitely tough. But I mean, through my 4 years, we probably won at least 3 tournaments a year. So, I mean, we won 12 to 15 events type of thing, which was just obviously just made the chemistry on the team just so much more fun and everything like that too.
Yeah.
So
who was kind of like your core top 5 then? I mean, obviously it changed over the years, but like who was your core top 5 when you were mainly traveling and going through that?
Yeah, so we had, my freshman year, we had Michael Gellerman and Charlie Sachs on the team. Gellerman played on the PGA Tour for a couple years. Charlie on the Korn Ferry Tour for a while. Grant Hirschman was the year behind me. He's played on the Korn Ferry Tour for 6 straight years. Blaine Hale, who played on tour this year. Quade Cummings, who's now going to be on tour this year.
Was Quan on your team?
Was who?
Luke Quan on your team?
Quan was on my team for, I lived with Quan for
Crushing the social media game now?
I lived with Quan for 2 years. Lived with Quan for 2 years, lived with Brad for a year, so now they're both killing it in the social media aspect. And to be honest, I could have always seen that with Luke. I was big on just documenting everything, filming everything, just kind of, I don't know, whatever it was kind of fun to him like that. But no, we were always super close. We had 5 guys living in a house, whoever it was, and if somebody moved out because they graduated, it always seemed like somebody else moved in. So we were just always a super tight-knit team. Never had more than 10 or 11 guys, but we all were eating dinner together and practicing together and stuff like that. And I don't think you see that quite as much, unfortunately, but we were very lucky to have it. For sure.
No, it's super important. And like you said, just traveling together, team chemistry. there's no surprise as a team that you guys kind of won, even though it is an individual sport. There's something to that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the kids now, they're just wondering on what conference their teams are in to see what they don't really care too much about their team. They're like, what event am I getting into as a player, right?
Yeah.
Because of PGA Tour U and all the other individual kind of things that are built in. Tell me about nationals. Who was the team? Where did you win? How was that experience?
So it was myself, Blaine Hale, Grant Hirschman, Brad Dahlke, Riley Reinertson, and then Quade Cummins was our alternate. He didn't play all week, but he was there, boosting us up all week long. But we played at Rich Harvest Farms, it's called Poplar Grove, which is probably 45 minutes outside Chicago. Crazy golf course. This guy named Gary Rich built this place called Rich Harvest Farms, brought like 6 of the best architects in the world in, hated everything that all of them said. So he just ended up building his own golf course. Has tee boxes all over the place. It's a crazy piece of property. But we barely even made it. We played regionals at Stanford. Brad Dahlke actually won regionals, beat Maverick McNeely at Stanford, and I think we finished 5th at regionals to get into nationals. Top 5 only gets in. And then for some reason, it just all clicked. I think we finished 2nd in the stroke play portion of it. Got Baylor the first round. That was probably, obviously winning the final match was insane, but the Baylor match is probably one of them I think all of us on the team will remember for a long time. So Blaine went out first, I went out second. We lost the first 2 matches. We were down the other 3 matches. So we were down in all 5 matches at one point in time. So Grant and Riley both flipped their matches, and then it came down to Brad and Matthew Perrine, who played for Baylor. Coach McGraw was the coach at the time, too. Yeah. Matthew Perrine chipped in on the last hole to send it into extra holes against Brad. So we go to 1 extra hole. Brad, unfortunately, Matthew doesn't play a good hole. Brad makes par. So we get to the next round. We beat Illinois in just outside Chicago. So they had a ton of fans, which was awesome. And then beat Oregon in the finals, which was just great. Wyndham was on the team with Norman Jong, and they had a really good team. They won the year before, but yeah, just a super cool experience. And coming back to Oklahoma, people love their golf, but we came back to just such a good party of everyone that just loves Oklahoma golf. And I think Coach Hippel's super proud of just the atmosphere he's built around the team. Not even the team, everyone else that's involved with it. And it was just cool to experience that with everyone, and make my amateur career basically last as long as possible, type of thing. So yeah, it was
that's really fun. Special. And yeah, to come back to Jimmy and come back to OU, and you're right. Everyone loves OU, but everyone loves golf as well, and that whole community down there. Obviously, is it Coach Gross, right?
Yeah.
He was the first kind of one to win a national championship, and then you just got the history of kind of OU players that played there that are still local.
Yeah.
Guys from Oklahoma City that are kind of very involved now in kind of the Booster Club and everything they're doing. It's cool to see, and I'm sure there's many a time down there that it's blowing 40 mile an hour and it's miserably cold and it's raining sideways, and you're like, this is our clubhouse. We hang out here, right? There's the things you guys get up to when no one else is around. It's just 6 guys in chipping into a cup across the clubhouse or whatever it is, right? You've got all those memories of putting. Like we used to put a beer mat at the end of the room, try putt onto it. It's impossible, but you're there all day trying to do it. We all have those stupid things that we did,
and those are sometimes the things that we probably remember more than even the wins or the fun rounds and stuff like that, or just the quirky little things that we probably did as a team, and just and that's just kind of what led into the good chemistry and whatnot.
Yeah.
So,
talk to me a little bit about Jimmy Austin. What's kind of favorite memories, favorite holes, what they've done to it? Obviously, you played professional golf out there as well as college golf now.
Yeah, I might be more biased just because of playing at younger and in college, but I probably like the old Jimmy a little bit better than the new Jimmy. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just, I have such good memories of making putts on certain holes or something like that. But no, Jimmy's just, again, one of those things that I didn't think about probably as a young kid, but it's legitimately on campus. You are in the middle of like the University of Oklahoma, which is, for one, it's just awesome. But it's just a fun course to play. It's one of those where if you do get some wind, if it is a little cold, even par could be a good score. And if it's hot and there's not much wind, I mean, you can go, we would shoot 8 or 9 under par sometimes. So I think you got a good variation, which was kind of nice as a college course like that. But it was kind of just the perfect setting to where, like, I don't know, we would just play such fun rounds. Like, it was one of those courses where you could make up a couple holes and almost do cross-country golf, or you could do, just different random stuff like that that I think back to and just enjoy my time there. Obviously, the practice facilities have gotten astronomically better even since I was there, but we had it so good, just as far as having the Coast Center down there and everything that was offered to us as far as that goes. But no, Jimmy will always have a special place in my heart for sure, and love to get down there and play as much as I can.
What were some of the practice kind of, outside of just qualifying, what was some of the practice stuff that Hibble had you guys do to really kind of stretch your minds, force you to improve, and kind of, throw a wrench in the works every now and then as well? Yeah,
he was really big on just kind of learning, and kind of a testament to what he's kind of built down there, the new facilities built. He was really good at looking into the next tournament, what course we were playing, either the designer and or just the type of kind of things that you needed to pay attention to when you were playing the next tournament type of thing. So if we were going to play a Perry Maxwell design, he would, have different stations as far as either chipping or hitting wedge shots and keeping it underneath the hole or keeping it here or there. He was just really good at paying attention to the little details that college kids aren't going to pay attention to, and he was trying to get those into our head essentially. So I feel like we did a lot of wedge drills. Our big thing was called the Gauntlet, which was our main chipping green. Not anymore, but there now I think it has 8 holes in it. Mm-hmm. And he would go in there with spray paint, and he would spray paint 8 different locations, and he would start. He would do it himself, which Hibble's a really good player himself, yeah. And he would determine what he thought was par. So an up and down is a par. And it would usually be somewhere in the 2 to 3 over par. So you'd have to get up and down at least probably 6 or 7 times type of thing. And he would not let you like either go play or work on something else until you got through it. So, and all of us did a good job of holding each other accountable for that too. If someone didn't do it, they would come back the next day and they'd finish it up. I mean, we made sure it happened. So the Gauntlet was a big thing for us, and to be honest, not sure if they still do it. Knowing him, probably a little bit, but it's just one of those things, just constant competition and constant either being under the gun of having to make a 5-footer to get through the Gauntlet or different stuff like that. Just he always had those little games like that kind of kept our mental game just really strong type of thing. So
what was it like playing it as a Cornflake Tour event? Yeah, they changed obviously your teeing off, and then they changed what 11 was 1 or whatever it was. Like
that was an interesting dynamic for sure. But it's always so weird playing like what would be considered a home golf course in like a tournament type of thing. So I think I played US Open locals one time at Jimmy. I think I shot 82 the one time when I was at Oklahoma. So sometimes maybe you're not going to be as aggressive as you are when you play day-to-day type of thing. I thought it played great. The course played really good. I wish it would have played a little bit harder. Not just conditions-wise, we didn't get it that way. But no, it was, obviously it's fun to play in front of a home crowd, but you're not worried about shot when you're actually, whether you play good or bad, when you're playing on a home golf course in a tournament, you're not really worried about bad shots because you've hit so many good shots on every single hole essentially. So I'm like, I've birdied this hole, like let's just go do, if I've gotten off to a bad start, even if it is 15 and the longest par 3 on the course, something like I've birdied this a bunch. Like it's so I think that kind of took the edge off a little bit, thinking that way. But it was a ton of fun. Wish I would have played a little bit better, and wished one of us you guys would have kind of got it done there. But no, it was a super fun event and fun to play in front of.
Yeah, Tyler. I mean, it's sad to see it go to wherever it's going next. But Tyler and the team did a great job for 2 years hosting it. It was a lot of fun to kind of be in and around it and to see a professional event there with the tour track and and like all the stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just fun to see at your home
Yeah,
track.
golf in Oklahoma is just big. So it's if we can get events like that more often, I mean, we know that people are going to want to volunteer, people are going to want to come watch type of thing. So hopefully more of that in the future here in Oklahoma.
I'd love to see them host more, and they have the infrastructure to do it, right? It's hopefully we get to live to see that.
Yeah.
So win nationals, senior year, highlight, ticking the box as you kind of deciding to turn professional. Did you have any kind of pre-plans as you're ending your senior year, as far as, hey, you might get invites, you might sign with an agent? Like, how was that process before you decided to turn pro and go into that part of your life?
Yeah, definitely a tricky process of trying to play good as a team at the end of the year, but then kind of setting up the next chapter of life, essentially. So I met with agents my second semester of college, and my parents would sit in there, Coach Hibble would sit in there, and actually ended up going with the first guy that we had a conversation with. Michael Creasy is my agent's name, but who is also Abraham Answers and Logan McAllister, so kind of got an Oklahoma vibe. But along with that, we kind of had talked about going the Canadian tour route. So I went and played Q School of Canada in between Big 12s and regionals.
Yeah.
So Coach Hibble didn't love that, but it kept me sharp too.
Yeah.
And I played really well up there. I think I finished third or fourth up in Canada in the qualifying to basically set up status for the rest of the year. So we won the national championship. I was still going to fly up to Canada. We were playing in Vancouver that week. Yeah. And because we played all the way to the championship match, I couldn't get up there in time. So had to miss the first event on the Canadian tour, but played the next 11. And it was a great tour as far as just a learning curve of how professional golf goes. I mean, unfortunately, you're playing for Canadian dollars, which is the exchange rate is not very good. But stayed in a lot of host housing, great families that I still talk to this day. And again, you just kind of get used to traveling on the road, how that kind of aspect of it works, and playing a lot of golf. You play a lot of golf in college, but maybe not as much tournament golf, and kind of get a vibe of how that's going to kind of happen in the future type of thing. So,
you're not used to doing 6 to 8 weeks on the road, right? Like, you're used to going and having a break and practicing and doing schoolwork, and then your body's adjusting. And I know we're still young doing it, but it's painful.
It's still just so different, and
mentally as well.
Yeah, just so different. But no, good experience up there, and played well enough to get me in a second stage of Q School in the fall. And then got through to final stage, which gave me status. Played horrible at final stage, so I didn't really have any guaranteed starts, and my agent was lucky enough to get me into a couple starts early on, reshuffled in a little bit, and I think I ended up playing 15 or 16 events my first year on the Korn Ferry Tour in 2018. Lost my card, but again, just a nice experience of even another tier up of just learning either what I need to get better at, different aspects of it all. So I think I played maybe 11 weeks in a row at one point that year. And I learned that it's even if you are so low on the points list or something like that, it's worth the taking off an event somewhere to just be more fresh, later on type of thing. So those are just the little things that you learn early on in your career and can kind of take with you and kind of get better. And everyone's got a different recipe, but you just kind of got to learn it through the process. So
was there a noticeable difference between the standard from Canadian to Korn Ferry Tour?
I would say so. Like the thought of making a cut is just higher. And it's not that we were playing for more money. It's just you knew the depth of players was a little bit deeper for sure. You felt like if you shot 3 or 4 under par one of the rounds on the Canadian Tour, you were probably going to make the cut and it was okay. Mm-hmm. You shoot 3 or 4 under par on the Korn Ferry Tour, you probably got to go shoot that same number again to then go make the cut. So just a different mindset essentially. And I wouldn't say you play differently. It's not like you play more aggressive. You learn to probably not make as many mistakes, not aggressively without making the mistakes that you were making type of thing. So it's just those learning curves and making a lot of birdies. And unfortunately, that's kind of how the MO of the Korn Ferry Tour is. But it's good and bad at times. If you're playing good for a year, you're gonna make a ton of birdies. It makes you feel good. Mm-hmm.
25 birdies in a week obviously feels great, but if you're also getting, if the winner shoots 25 under par and you're 2 under par, you just feel like you're getting lapped too. So you got to take everything with a grain of salt a little bit, but no, it was definitely another learning curve between Canadian Tour and Korn Ferry for sure. So
when you're in that mindset of like standing on, you're going to a golf tournament, Korn Ferry Tour is kind of, it's known for your birdie fest, right? And what's that mind shift? Like, are you just aggressive into or are you just trying to make more putts? Because your putting service is good. Yeah,
I think as a 23-year-old when I first was on the Korn Ferry Tour, I paid attention to leaderboards too much. You've got the morning and afternoon wave. You tee off in the afternoon, you see somebody already shot 9 under par, and you're like, I got to go birdie the first 5 holes type of thing. But there are 72 holes. There's a lot of holes, and I don't think I thought about that as much as a 23-year-old. And when I'm starting in the afternoon, I already see those low rounds. I'm going for every single pin I'm looking at. So those are the things that probably I think my best finish that year is 35th or something like that. Mm-hmm. So. Those are the little things that I was still hard-headed as a 23-year-old, thinking that I'm a good player because I'm 23 playing on the Korn Ferry Tour, but knowing that if I want to get to where I want to go, I got to make the correct changes to get better. And the more that I learned on the Korn Ferry Tour, I don't think it's as much as making more putts or being more aggressive. I just think it's not making bogeys. I mean, over the course of 4 days on a Korn Ferry course, if you're not putting terribly, you're going to make at least 15 birdies type of thing. And if you're limiting yourself to a bogey around, which sounds like not that much, but the courses we play are pretty simple. Mm-hmm. So whatever can get your mindset to, hey, we're going to make the least amount of bogeys as we can in 4 days. Mm-hmm. If your putter's hot, you're probably going to be up there pretty good. And if it's not, probably still making the cut, and give yourself a chance on Saturday or Sunday to shoot something low and give yourself something like that. So I was just I think the older I've gotten, the more chances I've tried to give myself, essentially. And the more momentum killers I've tried to take away, essentially. And I'm not playing like, hey, I'm going to hit this, I got this 9-iron, I shouldn't hit it left of the green because I'm going to make a bogey. It's just, I feel more aware of the surroundings more as a 29-year-old than I do as a 23-year-old.
Yeah.
So
it's amazing when you look back and you're like, golf is just a lot more simple when you're older, right? And you're like, I'll hit it 10 feet left from 150 because if I hit it right, I'm done. But if I hit 10 feet left of the flag, I got a chance.
Right.
Did you dive into the stats much with Decade coming out and kind of diving into all that stuff as far as where you?
I looked at Decade a little bit. It's not that it didn't pertain to me per se. I don't know. I still wouldn't say I dive into the stats very hard. I mean, obviously, I feel like I know at the end of the year what I did good and what I didn't do good.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just consciously try to make sure things are getting better on every aspect of it. But I wouldn't say that I've gone the statistical way, but I do think this year I've played a little bit differently than I ever have in the past. I don't know if I can actually tell you what that is, and I don't know if my mental game has just changed in a sense of that sort, but it has been more statistical without actually going through the statistics, if that makes sense. So, and that's just honestly freed my mind up even more too. So. Those little things, those little tweaks are all you're trying to make. But it's fun for me, watching. I get better watching a guy like Scotty play because he blows my mind how precise he is and how good he is. Yet he still has the discipline to hit it to the proper side of the hole. If I was hitting it that good, I would probably just hit it at every flag.
Flagging it all day.
He is still disciplined enough to hit it to the right spots. And I just think I'm learning as I go. I'm watching these guys do this, and I'm learning as I go. It's taken me longer than I probably would have liked, but I'm happy that it's finally kind of clicking a little bit more as far as that goes.
Have you dove into the mental coaching side of sport? Was that something that's been around since college?
Yeah, I went to a sports psych when I was at Oklahoma. Okay. Had a good guy that I went to and talked to, and still talk to him a little bit even when I turned professional, but I've dove into it a little bit. Unfortunately for me, the thing I see with sports psychs is you almost get to a breaking point to where you hear the same thing.
Yeah.
And you can have 3 or 4 or 5 sessions, and you can work on some things that make you feel like you're getting better, and you are. But then it almost just feels like there's a tipping point to where you just feel like you hear the same thing.
Yeah.
And if things are working, then obviously there's no need to go deeper. But yeah, I've talked to a couple guys, a couple great sports psychs, Brett McCabe and some of those guys like that work with many PGA Tour guys, and I do like what he's saying. And this might sound so silly, but I do think that my mind is just wired differently. I don't know what that is. And the only way for me to get better and make the changes need be is for me to do it myself and wire it differently myself. And hearing it from someone else just doesn't allow me to do that. I almost have to hear myself tell myself what I need to do almost. So
is that stuff that's more like, okay, today we're going to focus on one thing? Is that pre-shot routine? Is that like just not having negative thoughts over the ball? Because we're golfers, right?
Yeah.
Like mentally we're in our own heads all the time. There's a million things going on, and like for me, when I was kind of playing in college, I remember when I was playing at my best, every time I put my glove on, that was my trigger, right? But still, you're walking down the fairway and you're like, oh, I know this one's, it's impossible to just turn your brain off the whole time.
for sure.
But is that, talking about how you're like wired a little differently, what are some of those things that you found in success with that you
I think
really
my
focus
brain,
on?
I think my brain has turned more into, I know what I have at the current time.
Okay.
Even shot to shot, not even necessarily round to round. I feel like I've learned enough. I'm not a technical person, but I've learned enough with my golf swing to where I wouldn't say I make tweaks throughout the round, but obviously if my golf swing feels great, I'm going to continue to be aggressive on the lines that I have. If, I hit the first couple shots on the first couple holes and I'm not feeling as confident, I wouldn't say that I'm just like playing soft or anything like that. I'm just more aware of that and hitting the shots necessary for the success for that day, essentially.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think more day by day, shot by shot, rather than, okay, over the course of these 4 days, I want to hit this percentage of fairways and this many greens. I think I'm trying to think more day by day to where, if it's a left flag and it needs to be a draw, my draw doesn't feel very good right now. And be smart enough to be like, you know what, I'm going to start this 5 feet right of it. If I hit my normal cut that ends up 10, 15 feet right, great. And if I hit it straight, then so be it.
Yeah.
And it's taken my mind a while to wire it that way. And that's what's so crazy. That sounds so simple, right?
That's the thing, right?
But
Getting older.
But to do it over a course of 18 holes it's hard to trust yourself to do that over and over again. Type of thing. So.
Especially when you're in the middle of the fairway, you're chasing birdies or you're chasing something, and the miss left isn't as penal as it might be. Like if it's penal, it's clear cut. I'm not missing this left because it's a death sentence.
Right.
But if you can get up and down from left, that's where the real kind of discipline comes in, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I can take this flag on, but if I do draw it or over, double cross, whatever it is, like you're taking birdie way out versus hit it to the middle of the green, make one from 15, 20 feet.
And I think that way even when I'm back home sometimes. Maybe my golf swing doesn't feel good. I still almost try to hit like these amazing golf shots because I think, it's just going to click at some point in time. Well, if it's not clicking, it's not clicking, and there's no point of trying to force the issue, essentially. So I think early on in my career, I was like, I'm a good player. Like it's just going to click at some point in time, and I'm going to hit this 7-iron to 5 feet. There's days that's just not going to happen. You have to play with what you have, and I think I've done a good job of just understanding that as I play and taking that as I go.
And the days that you are flushing it, sometimes you're not putting well, right? Like
for sure,
it's just golf
for sure. And that's I think I'm a very emotional player. I think I've toned those back as the years have gone on. And that's the emotional side's probably played into my golf game a little bit too. But I've now realized that there's going to be mistakes. Mm-hmm. Like I know there's going to be mistakes. As a 23, 24-year-old, I went out there and I'm like, I'm going to play the most 18 perfect holes of my entire life. It's never going to happen.
No.
It's never going to happen.
No. In your dreams,
I'm sure when
day,
Rian shot 55 over at over at River Oaks,
yeah.
he had some shots that he didn't like too,
Yeah.
or mistakes. So there's always going to be mistakes.
Tell me about losing your card to Comfrey and then deciding to go to Asia, because a good group of you went to Asia, right? Charlie was kind of tried it. I think Luke was with you as well. Like you've got a good OU group going to Asia. You've been to Canada, you've been away, but it's still like English speaking, this time zone.
Yeah.
You go halfway around the world, or all the way around the world, to play, in a place where you have success now. Tell me about that experience, what it's like traveling with the guys, like you're the golf. I mean, obviously there's no secret they love golf over there. But that decision to go and then obviously going over there.
Yeah, so Charlie Saxon was the main reason I went. Unfortunately, never got to play in China with Charlie. He'd played there 2 different times, and I kind of was in the middle of those 2 times. But being from Oklahoma, I'm a homebody type of thing. I was living in Oklahoma at the time too, and I was like, I don't want to go to China. Like that was the last thing that I wanted to do, honestly.
Yeah.
But Charlie was like, it's going to fit your game. It's going to be a good atmosphere. There's always a good group of guys that are over there. And he's like, just go try out Q School. If you like it, see. I didn't like it. I went over there and I did not like China, but I finished second at Q School. Yeah. So that got me basically full status all year long. And, luckily Luke Kwan got status too. And we stayed together every single week, all 13 or 14 weeks that we were over there. And, that makes a big difference. Just having somebody to mess around with, China's already a tough country. Your phone or your laptop doesn't work very well. You're almost just kind of sitting around waiting to play golf. If I was sitting around by myself in a hotel room, that would have been a different story. But no, we had a good group of guys, good group of, 3, 4, 5 Americans with some Australians, with some, English guys and stuff. So it was a good mixture. And we just had a lot of fun with it. It was to be honest, really just us and nobody else. I mean, nobody really went and watched too much, and we were all kind of egging on. We're all trying to, basically jumpstart our careers and do something good. So we're all egging on each other to be better and helping each other out. But the golf courses were insane. Some of the most insane things I've ever seen. It's actually kind of crazy because Charlie actually just texted me the other day, and he's trying to get together like some pictures of just some crazy holes he's played in his life, just to see some of that stuff. And I'm going through my camera roll and all of my crazy holes are in China. It just seems like every single one of these golf courses should be on like Golden Tee, Yeah. That's just like, it's a video game golf course, and it just crazy stuff. But their agronomy's not great. It looks pretty, but they just water courses so hard. So it wouldn't even rain the entire week, and we'd have to play the ball in hand all week long just because it was so wet. But no, just one of those things. It was an amazing experience that I don't want to do again, but I am very grateful for the year that I had over there.
Yeah.
And obviously playing good golf helps out in that aspect of it too, but man, it was a really cool experience.
Yeah.
And things I either try to explain to my wife or something like that, and it's just crazy events. Went to the hospital there in China for food poisoning, and just even that kind of situation I had over there. I mean, I'm halfway across the world. My parents are freaking out that I'm in a hospital in China. It's just those are just, they made me grow up too.
Yeah.
As a 24-year-old at the time or whatever, it made you grow up pretty quickly and just learn how life works essentially. And yeah, cool experience, super cool experience. So
never want to go back.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
How many events did you play over there?
Q School, and then I think we played 12 events, so 13. We were supposed to play.
Okay.
I lucked out, so I was the point leader, and we were supposed to play in Hong Kong, the final event. And it was when all of those protests were going on in Hong Kong. Mm-hmm. They canceled the final event, so I didn't even have to play the last one to win the Order of Merit, which was awesome. But yeah, I think we played in the same city twice, so 10 or 11 different cities in China, which was crazy. And each one of them has their own, just like in the US. I mean, each one of them has their own kind of flair to it and whatnot. I didn't venture off too much as far as the food or anything like that goes.
Just stick to rice and meat.
I stuck to my normal stuff. But no, we had a good group of people, player liaisons that helped us out with the language barrier and different stuff like that. And it was really cool.
And so that gets you back to Conference Tour, by winning the Order of Merit Nation.
Yeah, it got me full status, so I didn't have to worry the entire year about a reshuffle or anything. Yeah, so that was probably the first time as a professional where I was like, all right, I'm set. I can set my schedule. I can kind of do all of that stuff to where like I know how this next year is going to go, and definitely probably eased my mind as far as why I probably played a little bit better that year too. So.
And at this time, had you met your wife? Are you dating?
I'm not when I was in China or anything. Later in 2020.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you come back, full status on the Conference Tour. Like, this is my job now. Like, this is kind of a lot of weight off your shoulders, and you can really attack the season.
Yeah.
How was that year?
It was good and interesting. Started off well, and then the whole COVID thing happened. So I think we were off for about 3 months or so. But again, we never really get that downtime in golf, and I think all of us needed it. I was living in Dallas in a house there was 6 of us in it, four golfers: Scotty Scheffler, Charlie Saxon, and Grant Hirschman. We were all living together and bouncing ideas off each other and playing golf together. And to be honest, I think I don't know how those other pros would document it, but for me, those were probably some of the most helpful 3 months that I had. Just mentally being prepared for everything, just physically. Charlie Saxon's a physical specimen. He had his home gym in our house that we were able to work out in for 3 months straight. So we're doing workouts. All 6 of us are doing workouts together and stuff. Just, it was a fun atmosphere, but I think in the golf aspect, it just really got me prepared, and I kind of got off and running when we came back. And played really good the first couple of events, and then I think either 4 or 5 events in from coming back, I won in Missouri. And again, it's just one of those things, until you win at every level, you don't feel like you're maybe validated yet. And that was a nice, just validating point to my career and the work that I've put in and stuff. And again, I think it was still kind of an up and down year. I would say I still am very streaky. It's either maybe a pretty high finish or maybe a miscut or something like that. But no, it was a good year and a good off season. Just kind of led into another good year in 21.
Yeah.
So
sounds like that kind of COVID few months off was like almost like a fight camp. Like you're just grinding with your guys, ready to get back to it. And like I said, you got a good group of competitive guys there, and obviously Charlie's throwing weight around in the gym more than anybody else.
Yeah.
Scotty hasn't gone stratospheric at that point.
No, that was his rookie year on the PGA Tour.
But still, you guys know how good he is. The rest of the world doesn't yet.
Yeah.
Now you're looking back thinking, wish I'd bought stock in him like everyone's looking at Bitcoin right now.
For sure.
I remember, I think it was Charlie was telling me, just like, we all kind of knew. We never thought he would be that, but we all knew that he was special.
Yeah.
How did obviously, you guys are, you, Grant, and Charlie are OU guys, but how did you meet Scotty and some of the other guys down in Dallas?
Scotty was a year younger than me. Obviously played at Texas, so we would play like Big 12 stuff every once in a while, or just golf in general. Hirschman was definitely a lot better friends with Scotty.
Okay.
And I don't know how that connection came about. I mean, Scotty and I were decently good friends, but we didn't talk a ton. And Charlie and Scotty, I don't think were super close. But Scotty was like, I'm ready to move out of my sister's apartment. He was living with his sister in Dallas at the time. And we were looking for a 4-bedroom house, and somehow ended up turning into a 6-bedroom house. But and to be honest, it's very tough for someone in Dallas to rent a 6-bedroom house to 24-year-old, 25-year-old kids. They think we're just going to trash it. But so that was hard to find in a sense. But I think he just wanted to be around some good guys, and he knew that we were all kind of straight-laced guys that were all just trying to get better and be better. And just from the start, I think we all kind of bonded in a really good sense, and just kind of off and running. So we lived in that house for about 2 years. Scotty and Charlie got married actually back-to-back days. So that was tough. But
it's a heavy weekend.
It's a heavy weekend. But in different states, in different cities. But so it was just a good 2 years. And to be honest, all of us, obviously Scotty's from Dallas, so lives there now, but we all kind of all of us that lived in that house, except for Scotty, now live in different states.
Yeah.
So it was just a good atmosphere to get better and be together as guys and boys, and then get better. So
Those are like when you look back over, you're going to look back on that in 20 years and be like, that was so unique for us to be all six, like having such a good time and growing and early in our careers and doing that. You mentioned the win at Missouri, kind of that validates you. At that point, are you thinking, am I in the top 20? Was it top 20 at that time to get you on tour, or was it
top
25? So you thinking, like, where were you in that? Was it later in the season? Had you had it, like, what was your kind of ranking up until that point with the win?
So that moved me to 6th on the points list, but they had already told us that we were going to have this double season on the Korn Ferry Tour. So to be honest, before they told us that, I wasn't in a place that I was going to get my card.
Okay.
So I was okay with it. Obviously, it stinks to basically almost lose another year of where you could be type of thing. But again, it was just more, I got to work harder, make sure that I knew that this 2-year season on the Korn Ferry Tour, the guys that came off of it, not that if you get your card from the Korn Ferry Tour, it's not like validated, but a 2-year season for sure is going to be validated. You're going to have to play really good to be able to get your card after a 2-year season. So I was just more focused on that following year, just staying present and where I was at, not looking at the points list. Very easy to look at, those types of things, and just continue to keep your head down, try to play as well as you can each week, and see where it ends up at the end of the season.
It's tough to, like, even though you're not looking at the points list, they're tagging you and stuff on social media, they're blowing, like they're doing the job that they need to do to make people watch and engage. It's hard for you to not pay attention to that, right? Like, there's always like a bubble list or whatever. I can't imagine, you look at like, was it Justin Lauer, right? Like his whole experience, like being, one off and then going and win one, the whole thing, like, that's all documented. Right. It's so hard to deal with mentally. Yeah. But you've got to go play golf as well.
So I lucked out to get off to a good start in 21, and I wasn't really worried about, I was never really around that 25 number, so I didn't have to worry too much about getting my card, which was nice. Talking to some of my friends that were kind of either on that bubble or ended up getting that last spot. It's just, it's a part in your life you want to enjoy. You're about to get a PGA Tour card potentially, and it's just, it ends up being the most stressful part of your life. And that's going to happen through work and through, golf in general. But no, it's nice that, and that class has played really good, got a lot of wins in that class so far. So, I think out of the 25, the last time I checked, either 14 or 15 have won on the PGA Tour, which is, pretty crazy type of thing.
Who are the kind of like your top guys in that class? What guys that stand out?
Pendrith, Davis Riley. I'm trying to think who won. I don't know why I can't think of who won. Adam Svensson.
If there's a guy who cares less about golf, it's Adam Svensson, right?
Probably. He's the best iron player I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. He doesn't seem to care about anybody.
No.
He's very like Dustin Johnson.
Yeah.
Like I played against him once in South Beach Invitational maybe, 1 year over Christmas, which he won. And he was just like, I just like hit it, 320, don't really care, and no big deal. Like, okay.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen him smile before.
No, never. Even when he won, he didn't smile.
Yeah.
Because there's a few Canadians that played at Barry University or whatever. Mm-hmm. It was down there for that, and that was a lot of fun.
Callum played at Barry too. Callum Tarrant, he came out of my class too.
Good times. So you get your tour card. Fast forward to that, you think, I've made it, right? Like your childhood dream is like this in this little, like this little, which is a pretty cool thing. They actually give you the card that they give you, right? Like, it's the thing you've been working towards since you made that decision to stop playing freshman basketball, right? Like, this is my dream. I'm sure, family's super proud, but then the work starts, right? It's like, I get to enjoy it, but also like I want to stay there. How was that experience on tour? What were the big things that really stood out to you going to the to the big leagues?
Because they threw you right in it. Back then when we had the wraparound schedule, Like we had like
the next week,
we
or
had
2
like
weeks, right?
yeah, we had like 8 days off, and then we had to be in Napa for the like rookie orientation type of thing. So I struggled at the start just from the namesake of things, walking up and down a range and seeing the people that are playing. My first event in Napa, my last name's McGreevy. Mickelson's locker, he actually ended up withdrawing, but his locker was there all week long. And I'm just like, man, Phil's locker's like 2 lockers away from me. Like, that's crazy. And I think that took me a while to kind of get past the namesake of stuff. So didn't play the best at the start, and then I played in Houston, played with Cam Smith on Sunday. Talk about a guy that I'm just like, this guy's got his career already made, career earnings and stuff like that. And I wouldn't say he didn't care. He just like, it was so nonchalant. He played so good just because he doesn't really have any worries, And it was just like, man, I just remember watching him play thinking, man, I hope I can get to a point in my career where I can just like enjoy the golf like that, rather than like feeling like every shot is like worth so much type of thing. So
what's his putting stroke like up close and personal?
Beautiful.
Is it butter?
It's amazing. It's so good.
Yeah.
Great guy too. He was awesome to play with.
He didn't have the terrible hair at that point.
No,
though, right?
he didn't.
Was
I don't think that was grown in quite yet. But yeah, I just wouldn't say I played great that whole season, but got a solo second in Puerto Rico. Lost to Ryan Brim, had one more medical start to use, and he used it that week. And I finished solo second to him. But those points were obviously huge for me. And ended up, I would probably put it down as probably one of the things that I will remember in my career the longest is I went into the final event. Wyndham Championship was 126th in the points list. And finished 5th that week to, obviously move into the playoffs and keep my card for the following year. But, I hadn't been playing good up to that point either. And I was just like, screw it. Why not this week? And just was super proud of everything I put forth type of thing. Super happy to get that.
You're under the gun, right? Like, you're under the max pressure, right? That you need to, like, you're literally playing for your job at this point.
For sure. And unfortunately, the next year, 23 was horrible. Probably one of my worst years as a professional. But I still know that I have the Wyndham Championships in Puerto Rico, and however far I want to go back of memories that I can lean on. And that off season of 23 leading into 24 was just like, lean on those circumstances, lean on, the things that you're great at and you can be really good at. And I just kind of, from the start, I was like, I'm going to come out as, I guess I kind of am on the Korn Ferry Tour, but I'm going to come out as a 28-year-old veteran. I'm not going to come out as a wide-eyed kid that's not ready to go. And I wanted that from the start to be ready. And I think I did that from the start of this year. Yeah.
Looking back on that 23 season, it's inevitable to go out to have ups and downs, right? And the best players, their downs aren't as bad as some, and to keep their card and stuff. And you someone who likes criticism, you want to learn, you want to keep being competitive. What are some of the things that stood out for 23 that you really grew and changed going into a new perspective into this season that you've had success on to get yourself back on tour?
Yeah, I think maybe in 23 I just never really, I kind of went week to week like, man, I don't know if I have it. I don't know if I, like, the mental side of just, even in 22 when I wasn't playing good at times, I was still telling myself, like, hey, we're going to do this. Like, we're going to get this going. And it just didn't seem like I was doing that with myself in 23. I didn't have that. I almost feel like I lost that wiring that I was talking about in my mind of, like, whatever hump there is, you're going to get over it, And I might have told myself that multiple times, but deep down probably didn't trust that feeling. And luckily at the time I had a caddy that was probably almost like a brother figure to me. And it did end up working out, and we actually split kind of in the middle of the 23 season. But, just I think he's done a good job of kind of trying to get that back into me. He saw me in 22, what I could do, the wiring in my mind that can get me over those humps. And, along with my family and my wife and, everyone around me that's seen Max through the progression of all those years, they know that there's going to be downs, and they've seen the downs in my career, but they didn't want to see the down in my mental side. They wanted to always see that positivity. And I don't think I had that in 23. And man, it's just tough. Again, being in that dream state, that was the first year of the elevated events, and I got in like 6 or 7 of the elevated events that year. I'm playing the Players Championship. I'm playing Tiger's event at Riviera with Tiger. Tiger's playing in the event. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like, this is insane. And I'm just not believing in myself enough to do that. And I wish I would have, and maybe a season like this could have happened that I did this year, but I know I know deep down I'm not going to let that happen again, type of thing.
Yeah, well, you've got to go through that to know that the next time you know where you're at, it's never easy to come back. It's never easy to make that mental switch, right? But, that belief that you have in yourself, and like I said, to keep reminding, look, I've done this, I can do this. It's, for all the golfers that I've spoken to and the podcasts we've listened to, and, we're all golf nerds, right? We're taking in, all this information. It always seems like it's never a game thing. It's a mental thing,
right.
And you've seen this up close, right? There's so many guys on tour who can win every week, right? It's who's got it those 4 days and who's mentally there. And, it's amazing. I'm sure your family, wife and future kid are going to be super proud that you're back there, right?
Yeah.
Like having that accomplishment and winning, getting back there. It's super exciting to do. And
for sure.
So are you based here or are you based in Texas?
Yeah, based here. Okay. So live almost 2 years now. Been back in Oklahoma. Yeah.
What was the decision to move out of Texas to come up here?
I needed to get away from Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I'd spent my entire life, college, career, everything. I was living with my parents for 2 years after school, which was great, saving money. I needed a getaway of some sort.
Yeah.
Obviously, Dallas is the closest spot and easy to travel out of and stuff like that. Living with a couple of my friends and stuff like that too, which was great. Oklahoma's home, and I knew I've always wanted, a wife and kids and that type of thing. And I knew if that happened, I was always going to end up back here.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to end up back here. But to be honest, when I left Oklahoma, I played out at Oak Tree, and we didn't have anybody there. Like, we didn't really have any other pros to play with. Then I leave for 5 years or however long that is, and everyone's staying. I mean, we have everyone out at Oak Tree now, Yeah. And that was a big pull for me back. I was like, man, I'm going to have a lot of good people to practice with, play with, type of thing. But my wife's family's back here. It was just, we were always going to end up back here, and probably came back earlier than we thought we were going to. But raising kids in Oklahoma is what I've always wanted to do. Nothing wrong with Dallas or anything like that. Oklahoma's home, and it always will be. So I'm happy to be able to come back and have that.
Yeah.
So
how'd you meet your wife?
Yeah, funny story. So one of the guys that I lived with down in Dallas, my best friend from high school, his little sister and her little sister were living together in college. Mm-hmm. And my wife was in Connecticut at the time. Her family, they're from Oklahoma, but she grew up in Connecticut. They were moving back to Oklahoma because of COVID. And so the little sisters set us up, and the first day that they moved back to Oklahoma, I met her August 1st of 2020. Yeah. And just kind of hit it off from the start. And I was still living in Dallas at the time. And then about a year into our relationship, she moved down to Dallas and lived with me. And then we moved back up to Oklahoma right after that. But no, it was a quick, sometimes I guess that's how it works, when you know type of thing. So we dated for a year and 3 or 4 months before we got engaged. And she's knows nothing about golf, knew nothing about golf. She likes it now, like she likes to learn and stuff like that. But I think that's the dynamic that we have back home. I mean, I've been back from California from the TaylorMade for 2 weeks now, and I don't even know if we've really talked about golf over those 2 weeks. You
Which
know,
is
it's
really
just
nice.
it's great. Yeah. And it's not that she wouldn't talk about it. It just those are things that don't come up, and it's just a nice dynamic we have. But no, she's a trooper. She actually caddied for me 4 times last year on the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
Just kind of something new, just a different dynamic to change things up. 4 for 4. We've never missed a cut. So pretty crazy how that's so. She would have liked me to miss the cut so she didn't have to carry the bag 2 more days. But no, super thankful. Was able to meet her, and this little girl on the way is going to be awesome.
Do you have your name picked out?
Claire Grace.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. What's the due date?
New Year's Eve, which is actually
nice.
our wedding anniversary as well, which is crazy.
Where did you get married?
Oklahoma City Golf and Country Club.
Great spot.
Yeah.
Okay. New Year's Eve at Oklahoma City. That that must have been a bit of a riot.
It was fun. It was awesome.
So that's really cool.
Yeah.
So little Claire on the way. New Year's Eve, getting ready, kind of prepping to go into next season. Finishing up. Let's dive into the bag a little bit.
Yeah.
Nerd out. You said you weren't a kind of technical guy.
Yeah.
Are you someone who kind of like for me, I've had the same 3-wood for like 10 years.
Yeah.
Are you that type? Are you into you're a Strixon guy? Are we fiddling around? Are we changing wedges for events? Like what's kind of like the bag look like at the moment?
I'm pretty much the same.
Okay.
All year long. I don't like to fiddle around unless either I have to or I have time.
Yeah.
So I am fiddling around right now a little bit just because I have the time to. Uh-huh. But no, I've been to a Strixon since I turned pro. Okay. So I have to play 11 of their clubs, including their driver. So do have their driver in the bag, which has been great. Change shafts. I'm not a golf nerd, so I know nothing about it. I know it's a Tour AD shaft, but I put it in halfway through the season. It's been incredible. Okay. Ping 3-wood, 7-wood that have been in the bag the 7-wood's been in the bag for probably almost 3 years, 2.5 years. This 3-wood. Okay. If this 3-wood ever cracks, I might start crying. It's probably my favorite club in the bag by far.
What ping 3-wood is it?
The 440 or whatever I've seen this newest model that's about to come out. Looks a little bit different, but is still a good looking 3-wood. But the newest version that's out right now. I use the old 4 utility iron of Strixon, like I don't even know all their names. The U7 or UZ or something like that, with a graphite shaft, and then I have the ZX5 5 iron, and then ZX7 6 iron through 9 iron. Okay. And then I use a 46, a 50, 54, 60 degree wedges. So Cleveland just came out with new wedges. Great, awesome, very good. And then toying around with different shafts right now. PGA Tour, you definitely need a little bit more spin. Greens are just a little bit firmer. So growing up in Oklahoma, I'm a low spin guy. I've always tried to keep it low, So I struggle with getting a lot of spin and fiddling around with a couple different things. I use nip-on shafts currently in my irons, but mess around with some KBSs or who knows what else, maybe some True Tempers. But knowing me, I'll probably just go back to what's been working. And then putters are different for me. My 2 years on the PGA Tour, I used a Scotty Cameron, actually a Red X that was like super old. I had
one way back in the day.
I had it since I was like 12.
Was it a center shaft or a hosel?
No, it was a double bend. Yeah. And Scotty guys did not like that out there just because it was so old, and I had lead tape over like the X, so no one could even know that it was a Scotty Cameron type of thing. But
it sits so well.
Yeah, it does.
Did you have that kind of crown grip on it too? Not the pistol ones like they've gone to now?
Yeah, the crown
The
grip.
red one or the black? Oh,
the red one.
Yeah, love that. Good head cover too. It did have a good head cover back then.
Yes. So used that for a while, but dove into some Odyssey putters over the off season of 23. So I putted with one Odyssey, one of the new gold insert things, up until like August, and I was putting horribly this year. And I asked the Odyssey rep in New Jersey, I was like, motto, I don't care what you build me, just build me something different. I want to putt with something different. And he built me a Jailbird, which I was kind of out on the Jailbirds just because everyone was putting with one. He built me a Jailbird. I won that week, first week with it. He gave it to me on Tuesday.
Standard length and weight or counterbalance?
Standard length and weight.
Okay.
I'm a short, my putter's probably 32 and a half inches. And just a double bend in it. But yeah, that was a crazy week in general. New putter, and I went through 3 different drivers that week too. Different cracked drivers, and had to get them to send me new heads in, and ended up winning that week. That was a crazy week as far as clubs go, but that's way out of my comfort zone. I like to keep things as like simple and normal as usual, but wouldn't say I change wedges a ton. If I can tell the sands maybe a little bit firmer or different stuff like that, I might have them grind some stuff a little bit differently. I'm usually a new lob wedge like every 2 to 3 events, and then all the other wedges every probably 3 months type of thing. But yeah.
Are you a collector in any way? Do you have like me growing up, I think like most golf people, we like thought that Scotty Cameron tour issue putters were just like the best thing ever. Yeah. Are you a collector? Are you buying stuff? Are you collecting anything at all in the golf world?
Definitely not a collector. I mean, I like that type of stuff. Luckily, because I putted with a Scotty for a couple of years, they made me quite a few putters over those 2 years on tour. So do have quite a few Circle T's that I would consider like kind of my pride and joys as far as golf clubs go. I would say my big thing, honestly, is, sometimes they make these limited edition head covers for events and stuff like that. So I would say Scotty Cameron probably did maybe 10 a year of different tournaments, whether it be Hawaii. I got one with like a girl with a hula skirt on it, or, Vegas is always dice or cards or different stuff like that. So, Napa's like wine and whatnot. So I like getting those different types of things. Was kind of a nerd when I went over to Japan a little bit, just because they had some really crazy ones. They had like a koala bear where you put your putter, basically it doesn't even look like it looks like a stuffed animal, but and then like I have one on my bag right now that's like a giraffe type of thing, and it's so I head covers I like. I'm never probably going to go out and like buy them type of thing, but hopefully I can kind of have a display of a decent amount of them like sometime in the future. But
are you superstitious at all? Do you mark your ball with the same coin? Are you little things like that?
I would say I'm less superstitious than I was, but still am. So I have a 1965 and a 69 quarter in my bag. Okay. Depending on the conditions of how I know it's going to play, I'll either use the 65 or the 69 quarter.
Doesn't matter which side it is, head up or head down, or doesn't matter.
I like to start with it tails up, to not look at the number for a while. If I know that I'm playing good and I can reach that number, I like to put it down, like 65 up, so then I can be like, all right, come on, like let's get to 6-7 under par, whatever that number is. But no, I usually keep it tails for the most part. Other than that, I mean, I'm very superstitious that I'm like gonna sweat through all of my gloves, which I'm never going to. So I have like 20 gloves in my bag at one period in time. My caddies always laugh at me, and I never go through more than maybe 2 in a round or something like that. I just, for some reason, I think the apocalypse is going to happen and I'm going to sweat through all my gloves or something like that. But no, it's gotten less and less through the years. So
going back to PGA Tour with a baby on the way, that's I'm sure the wife's thrilled to have baby care and bigger perks on the tour. What is, though, something like maybe the most outrageous perk from the PGA Tour that you are looking forward to getting back to that you haven't had on the corporate tour?
Courtesy cars would probably be the biggest thing for me. It depends week to week, but like I already know, the American Express, the second week in Palm Springs, you're going to land in Palm Springs, you're going to get your bags from the baggage claim, and they're going to have a BMW sitting out on the front curb, like don't have to walk more than like 8 feet type of thing. And it changes from week to week. The next week in San Diego is probably like a rental car type of thing. They still might bring it to you, but I'm so tired of waiting in an Avis line, especially on the Corn Ferry Tour in Springfield, Illinois, or some small town where they don't have Avis Preferred or something like that. The courtesy cars, especially with a kid, is going to be top notch as far as that goes. The food is off the chart too. They've got a dietitian on hand every single week that's making sure that we're getting whatever we need, type of thing. And I wouldn't say I'm a healthy eater. Mm-hmm. My wife and I are definitely foodies for sure, but I need to eat less crap. And
we all do.
and they do a good job of having the right stuff out there. And
is there an event
also hitting your own golf ball on the range is
clutch.
massive. I travel with a TrackMan, so even on the Korn Ferry Tour, you're only hitting a Pro V1 or a Pro V1X, which obviously is a good ball, but we're nerds about our yardages, and those balls can maybe fly a yard shorter, 2 yards further. It just, those little things just are even easing the mind a little bit more, knowing how far the ball is going.
Well, and it makes so much sense because you want to get your numbers that day. If it's cold in the morning, you're off late, you've got to hit your ball. For sure. I'm sure there's some time you're almost just like throwing a quick, crusted dozen that you're trying to hit just to get your number dialed, right?
Right.
Is there a tournament you're looking forward to going back to specifically for food? Or a city?
It would probably be one that I'm not in currently because it would be an elevated event. The Players was obviously, the food was insane at the Players. Dinner every single night that you could have at the clubhouse there with, steak and lobster every single night if you wanted or something like that. But Travelers Championship, obviously another signature event, but they are the most accommodating. That's the most accommodating tournament I've ever seen in my entire life. They're amazing.
Okay.
Charles Schwab and Colonial, which again, that one's easier to get in, but I'm not in currently. That's the one my dad brought me to the most growing up. So that one's always the one on my list that I really love to play, and just closest to home, similar to Dallas type of thing. But Hawaii, the start of the year is going to be good there. We get to order straight off the menu, either sushi or a poke bowl or something like that. It's a good start to the year for sure. But no, it's all really good stuff.
Have you had any really cool family experiences with dad, older brother out at maybe the Players? Obviously they have caddies try and hit that 17th green. Like, does anything pop out?
Yeah. Bringing my dad onto the island green on 17 in a practice round was, I think, pretty cool for him. My dad's pretty emotional, but he won't really show it. If he is showing it, he'll put his sunglasses on or start walking the other direction type of thing. It's obviously,
that's cool.
My brother was able to watch me my first year, which was awesome, just having that type of thing. But no, just in general, I seem to always have somebody at an event, which I'm very thankful for. I would say that doesn't happen for a lot of people, but I've got a lot of family my dad is one of 8, my mom is one of 4. Lots of either cousins or aunts and uncles or something, then they're spread out all over the place. So I'm very thankful for that family that I have I seem to be able to see someone almost everywhere I go, and it makes the traveling a lot more enjoyable for sure.
Yeah, back to that homebody in you, right? It makes you feel like a slice of home is there, and they get it, and they understand family, whatever it is going on. And again, it gets lonely on the road, right? Like, you're away, and not all the time are you in a hotel with your wife or your guys. Like, it's your caddy. Like, there's it's
and unfortunately
people don't think about that.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I wouldn't say I dislike the camaraderie on the PGA Tour compared to the Korn Ferry Tour. It's just definitely a different atmosphere. The PGA Tour, they've got their chiropractors, physio.
Your team's much bigger.
They got 6 or 7 guys around them, and that's their people they hang out with. It's not other players. And I'm thankful we've got these guys at Oak Tree, Quaid and Ekro, Goddard, Victor. We're going to have a good crew from Oak Tree that'll be able to travel and hang out with each other and stuff. So,
Last question, since I'm in the real estate world. If you could wave the magic wand today and build your dream house, what would it be?
I've definitely probably fallen into more of what my wife likes. French country type of vibe. Obviously a little tougher to get here in Oklahoma, but traditional kind of French chateau looking kind of home, essentially.
Land, driving range, chipping green. Are we building a bit of a golf course, gym? car barn with, ATVs? What are your toys? Like what?
Gym for sure. Would love to have a gym. Would love to have some land just for maybe not golf purposes. It would be cool to have, golf wise, but I like my downtime. So it's nice having work somewhere and then, home somewhere else. But my wife would definitely love to have a couple animals if possible. And that would be a lot of fun. Some chickens and some donkeys or something like that, those type of things. But yeah, swimming pool. We love to be around the swimming pool and an outdoor, very cool, outdoor kitchen with a fire pit area. We're big outdoorsy people, sitting outside, having a glass of wine by the fire or something like that. Mm-hmm. Cooking obviously is big for us. So, nice grill to cook on or something like that would be awesome.
Yeah.
But
awesome.
But yeah.
Finish up. Tell me about your sponsors. Give them a shout out. Everyone who's helped you kind of up to this point, and guys that are supporting you, and obviously huge supporters of not just you but your family too.
Yeah, very thankful for Shrixon. Been with them for 7.5 years now since I've turned pro. Great clubs, but a great company in general. Veritex Bank, I've been with them since I've moved to Dallas. Luckily, they're still holding on to me, even though I don't live in Texas anymore. I have a couple of new ones this upcoming year. WealthSpire Advisors is just a great company out of New York and West Palm Beach a little bit, but just have good relationships with golfers and helping us out on the financial side of things. And Macaulay Bonds is a new one I'll also have. Great OU grad who lives down in Dallas, just loves golf and just loves, giving back in general. A big thing for him is charity and stuff like that. And super excited to work with him on those little things and stuff like that. Easy Post is a company I have that's the owner is an Oklahoma grad as well, and I've been lucky to kind of get a couple of those guys like that. And I don't know what clothing company I'm going to be wearing quite yet next year, but
who would be the dream clothing company? Are you a swag guy? Do you like the fits?
I like the fits, but I've definitely, again, my wife's probably gone more traditional with me.
Okay.
The Peter Millar stuff looks great.
Yeah.
That's just a tough company to get, unfortunately. But yeah, just anything that's a little more traditional. It's gone heavy into the prints and the different stuff like that. And unfortunately not as much of a fan. Yeah. Just when you have to wear it every single day type of thing.
Yeah. But, unfortunately, some of the things that Victor has to wear, not what I would, I mean, hey, if you're making that much money and you're at his level, sure.
Trust me, he wears that stuff when he's back home too, when he's playing with us. So, but no, super thankful to Oak Tree National as well.
Awesome.
Been a member out there since 2018, and they've been super helpful to all of us and continue to help us out.
Going to host Senior Open, is it?
27, I believe. Yeah. So hopefully Tiger will come out and play. That'd be so good. Be awesome.
And just to hear them whinge about how hard that golf course is too, so they know they feel our pain when we're trying to land on the front of 9 green from 80 yards away. Because I played the tees up because I'm playing a scramble and the pins on the front. Yeah, like, really, mate. Thanks for coming in. Yeah. Really appreciate you. Thanks for spending some time here, sharing some great stories, showing us a little bit about the inside of your life, inside of what your brain thinks when you're playing golf. Thanks for your wife to letting us have you for a little bit while she's at home and about to have a baby, which is awesome. Congrats on the baby. Hope everything goes really well. New Year's Eve. To have your baby born on your wedding anniversary seems like a really cool thing. Yeah, so let's hope that happens. And yeah, man, wish you all the success for this season. Safe travels. For people listening, I'll put your Instagram down in the description. They can kind of check out, watch you, follow you there. And finally, shout out to Luis for connecting us as well. Yeah. So awesome.
Thank you.
For people listening, we will catch you next episode. Cheers.
Hope you guys enjoyed that great episode. Thank you so much for listening. As always, huge shout out to our sponsors, the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, sharing Oklahoma story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com and follow them on Instagram for daily updates at OklahomaHOF. Our other sponsor, the Chickasaw Nation, amazing sponsor. They do amazing things for the state, and they're always sponsoring something in Oklahoma. They're a huge supporter of Oklahoma, and without their support, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. And our third sponsor is Diffie Ford Lincoln down in El Reno. Now, this one makes me so happy because these guys are great friends of mine, play a lot of golf together. I've bought my cars from them, do most of my oil changes down there, have a cup of coffee, hang out down in El Reno. It's a good spot to go. And not only are they great friends, but they provide a great service. So for over 60 years, third generation family owned Oklahoma business down in El Reno. They're also in Bethany as well. So people in the Bethany area know the Diffies really well. But if you're looking for anything new, used, Ford, Lincoln, or whatever, I'm sure they could find anything you want. Check them out, diffieford.net, and then on Instagram at diffiefordlincoln. This episode is brought to you by the Doghouse OKC. Recently, I have been in need of some doggy daycare for my 2 pups, and the Doghouse have come in clutch. The team over there are incredible. They've taken care of my 2 golden doodles, and so it's been an honor to partner with them on the podcast and share the love. And the one thing that I do with the sponsors that I have is stuff that I use and recommend, like the Diffies with my car, Hall of Fame. They're awesome. Citizens Banks, where I bank. Chickasaw Nation, huge supporter of Oklahoma. And adding to that is the Doghouse. And so if you're in need of doggy daycare in the day or boarding overnight, they do grooming and other cool things too. But I've had a fantastic experience, and it's an honor and a privilege to share this with you too. So go to thedogHouseOKC.com and follow them on Instagram at thedogHouseOKC. And hopefully our pups will run into each other.
Thank you for listening. We are inspired by those around us and hope that you are too. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review so we can keep telling your stories. For more great Oklahoma content, follow This Is Oklahoma on Facebook and Instagram.